Hare Krishna. All right. So this being the very auspicious disappearance day of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, Srila Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, and Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj, before I begin, Ramapati Prabhu, I was asked a question I think it was last night, that I couldn't answer. And maybe you know. No, I'm looking at Ramapati, I know you don't know. What is it special about this day that they chose to, or that Krishna arranged for them to disappear on the same day in different years? Is there something special about this particular Titi or something? You don't know. Okay. Say again? Oh, so once one disappeared that day, the other disappeared. Anyway, we'll try to find out the mystery of this day, special day. Okay, everyone's got their sheets, except for Sureshwar, doesn't have his glasses. Jayanilo Premadana Karuna Prachur He no Prabhu Kota Gela Acharya Thakur Kaha Mora Swarup Rupa Kaha Sanatan Kaha Dasa Raghunatha Patita Pavan Kaha Mora Bhatta Juga Kaha Kaviraj Eka Kale Kota Gela Goranataraj Bhashane Kuti Bomata Anale Pashibo Gauranga Gunera Nidhi Kota Kele Pabo Se Sabba Sangira Sange Je Koi Lobila Se Sangana Paya Kande Narottamada Anjayanilo Premadana Karuna Prachur Aheno Prabhu Kota Gela Acharya Thakur. Jaya Vaishnav Thakur, Vaishnav Thakur, Vaishnav Thakur, Jaya Vaishnav Thakur. He who brought the treasure of divine love and who was filled with compassion and mercy. Where is such a personality as Srinivasacharya gone? Where are my Swarup Damodar and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatan? Where is Raghunath Das, the savior of the fallen? Where are my Raghunath Bhatta and Gopal Bhatta? And where is Krishna Das Kaviraj? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go? I will smash my head against a rock and enter into fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities? Being unable to obtain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all of these devotees in whose association he performed his pastimes, Narottam Das simply weeps. So now we will hear from the Samadhi's book about the three individuals who passed away on this day many years ago, and who are in the song. Did you notice? They're all in the song. Very significant. Okay, first Krishna Das Kaviraj. Appearing near Katwa, Krishna Das Kaviraj left for Vrindavan after Lord Nityananda told him in a dream, Ade Ade Krishna Das na karaha bhai, Vrindavana jahatanha sarva labhya hoy. O my dear Krishna Das, do not be afraid, go to Vrindavan, for there you will attain all things. Krishna Das took Diksha from Raghunath Das Goswami. He lived a renounced life at Shamakund near Manasa Pavana Ghat, Radharani's midday bathing place. Sri Jiva Goswami, as per his custom of giving titles of honor to qualified devotees, gave Krishna Das the title Kaviraj. Who knows what it means, besides Ramapati? Kaviraj. King of Poets. For his poetic masterpiece, Govinda Lilamrita, Sri Narottam Das Thakur wrote in Prarthana, Krishna Das Kaviraj, who composed the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, is the connoisseur among devotees. His Govinda Lilamrita moves stones to tears, but alas, my mind is not attracted to it. During Krishna Das's life, all the Vaishnavas would gather at Govindaji's temple to hear Sri Haridas Pandit read the Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. The devotees were eager to hear about Lord Gauranga's later pastimes, which were not elaborated in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. So they asked Krishna Das Kaviraj to write them. Krishna Das prayed to Madan Mohan for ability and blessings. The deity's flower garland fell down, indicating divine sanction. Krishna Das Kaviraj's Chaitanya Charitamrita is the most accurate, authentic, and philosophical biography of Lord Chaitanya. Every line is full of infinite humility, enthusiasm, and devotion for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Krishna Das had the wonderful power of speaking without offending, even when rebuking his opponents. He had vast knowledge in all Vedic scriptures. His books show his skill in the Shrutis, the Smritis, Nyaya, that's logic, Jyotir, Shastra, that's astrology, and the culinary arts. Although he was an erudite scholar, a strict ascetic, a paramahaṁsa rasika Vaishnav, Krishna Das writes about himself, I am deaf, dumb, wholly illiterate, worldly minded, and lower than a worm in stool. Close quote. His personal humility automatically attracts the heart of any reader of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Krishna Das Kaviraj was a living example of humbler than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree. A devotee will advance spiritually and understand Sri Chaitanya's teachings on Radha Krishna Prema Bhakti by reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. By associating with Sri Krishna Das Kaviraj, an eternally liberated associate of Lord Chaitanya, one will develop the Vaishnav qualities of humility, innocence, integrity, equanimity, gentleness, purity, selflessness, patience, kindness, gravity, freedom from material desires, mild temperament, control of the 6 passions, friendliness, honoring all beings, being silent, expert, and poetic, and absolute surrender to Sri Krishna. In Braja Leela, Krishna's Kaviraj is Kasturi Manjari, one of the 8 most intimate maidservants of Srimati Radharani. His samadhi is at Radhakund and at the Radha Damodar temple, according to some. Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai. And now Raghunath Das Goswami. Born into a dynasty of Vaishnavas, Raghunath Das Goswami was the only son of a wealthy landowner. As a boy, he received Haridas Thakur's association and blessings. At 15, he met Lord Chaitanya. By the mercy of Lord Nityananda, he renounced a beautiful wife and an opulent family. He ran to Jagannath Puri to intimately serve Shri Gaur Rai, that's Lord Chaitanya, and his Shiksha Guru, Swarup Damodar Goswami, for 16 years. Lord Gauranga gave his personal Govardhan Shila and Gunjamala to Raghunath Das Goswami. Gunjamala is a set of black and white beads that we have on Govardhan. Yeah. Raghunath Das couldn't live after Lord Chaitanya left this world, so he came to Vrindavan to end his life by jumping off Govardhan Hill. Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswamis affectionately received him. They convinced him to live on and enlighten all the Brajbasi Vaishnavas about Srimad Mahaprabhu's Puri pastimes, the Antya Leela. For 3 hours a day, on the banks of Radhakund, he spoke about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Raghunath Das did Radha Krishna bhajan at Radhakund for 40 years. He lived an austere life of pure devotion. Raghunath Das Goswami showed the standard of renunciation required to attain the eternal loving service of Radha Giridhari in the Nitya Nukunja Leelas at Radhakund. His perfect example enthuses all Gaudiya Vaishnavas to develop unalloyed pure love for Radha Krishna. Sri Raghunath Das Goswami's daily bhajan included chanting 64 rounds of japa, 100,000 holy names is actually quite a bit more than 100,000. Doing manasi seva in his spiritual body, that's within the mind. Worshipping Govardhan Shila. Actually, we have to make sure we pronounce this right. There's no diacritics in this book, so it doesn't help you. Worshipping Govardhan Shila. The word Shila means behavior. The word Shila means rock. So the Govardhan Shila. Bathing thrice in Radhakund, offering 1,000 obeisances to Krishna, offering 2,000 obeisances to Vaishnavas and embracing them, resting 90 minutes a day, and some days not at all. Keep in mind, however, when an eternal associate of the Lord externally rests, internally he continues serving. He ate only 1 leaf cup, 100 grams of buttermilk daily. Throughout his life, he never ate anything for sense gratification. He took the bare minimum to keep body and soul together. It's said that after the disappearance of Lord Chaitanya, Raghunath Das ate only fruit and milk. After Sri Sanatana Goswami Pad left, he existed on a leaf cup of buttermilk every day or 2. And when Sri Rupa Goswami entered Nitya Leela, Raghunath Das gave up all eating and drinking, period. He was slowly burning in the fire of separation from the Lord and his loving servants. The Brajbasi would cry upon seeing his weakened condition. Sri Raghunath Das Goswami wrote 3 books, Stabhavali, which is a compendium of many little works, ashtakas and things, Manak Shiksha is there, Vilap Kusumanjali and more, Mukta Charita, Dhanakeli Chintamani. In Jaiva Dharma, Srila Thakur Bhaktivinoda said, Raghunath Das Goswami showed the esoteric method of engaging oneself in the loving service of Shri Radha Krishna. Raghunath Das wrote and taught that the divine service of Srimati Radharani in Vrindavan is the topmost spiritual perfection. For this he was known as the Prayojana Acharya, the teacher who reveals the highest fulfillment in life. Raghunath Das Goswami clearly established the supremacy of Srimati Radharani. In Vilap Kusumanjali, a collection of intimate prayers, he states that Sri Radha's service is the highest attainment. Feeling extreme impatience and hopelessness due to separation from the queen of his life, he desperately prays for Radharani's service. And here's an example of one of his prayers, maybe it's several put together. Quote, "My life is worthless. I will give it up without receiving your mercy. Living in Radhakund and Vrindavan is meaningless to me. To say nothing of Vrindavan, even Krishna himself is useless to me without you. O Srimati Radharani, you are the only object of my life. Please be merciful to me." Crying profusely in great lamentation, I hold your lotus feet to my heart and beg for your loving service. May this Vilap Kusumanjali bring even the slightest satisfaction to you. So here's an example of one verse from there. You can learn it. Devi dukha kulasaga rogdade duyamanam abhidurgatam janam tang kripapa balanaukayabatam prapaya sapadapankajaryam. A lot of devotees. That's in Shiva Ramaswami's prayer book, Daily Prayers. So Devi, O Srimati Radharani, O Goddess, dukha kulasagaro, I am drowning in an ocean of suffering, misery, without you. Dukkha kulasagaro duyamanam ati durgatam janam. This unfortunate lowly person is drowning in an ocean of misery. Please place me on the boat of the what is it? Dukkha kalam duyamanam durgatam janam tam kripa pabalanaukayabitam. Place him on the boat, powerful boat, unsinkable boat of your mercy, and take him to the infallible shelter of your lotus feet. It's a very nice prayer. Sri Raghunath Das Goswami serves Sri Radha as Rati Manjari in Sri Vrindavan Dham. His samadhi is at Radhakund and the 64 Samadhis area. And finally, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. By the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami remained a lifelong brahmachari. His service was constant chanting of Hare Krishna and reading of Srimad Bhagavatam. In Jagannath Puri, Raghunath satisfied Lord Gauranga by his exceptional cooking and kirtan performances, which won him the title Kirtanacharya. When he came to Vrindavan, the Vaishnavas, including Rupa and Sanatana Goswamis, would regularly listen to his singing of the Bhagavatam shlokas in 4 different tunes as sweet as a cuckoo. His recitation was unparalleled. Even Vyasadeva enjoyed it. He fulfilled Lord Chaitanya's order to preach the glories and peerless significance of the Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam. His tears of pure love for Radha Govinda would wet the pages. Raghunath Bhatta was so absorbed in Krishna Katha that he never heard or spoke worldly topics, what to speak of criticizing devotees. He believed that all Vaishnavas are sincerely serving the Lord according to their realization, and therefore one should overlook their faults. Under his inspiration, a wealthy disciple built a gorgeous temple in Vrindavan for Sri Sri Radha Govindaji. Even after 450 years, this intricately hand-carved red stone temple remains the most beautiful temple in Vrindavan and all of northern India. Raghunath Bhatta Goswami faithfully served Govindaji for 40 years. He was a scholar in all subjects, although he didn't write any books like the other Goswamis. Raghunath Bhatta Goswami learned everything simply by hearing the Shastra. Fearing that Muslims might desecrate Raghunath Bhatta Goswami's sacred form, Sri Jiva Goswami had his body burned. The ashes were placed in 2 samadhis, one in Radhakund and another in the 64 Samadhis area. In Radha Govindaji's Nitya Leela, he serves as Rasa or Raga Manjari, one of Sri Radha's Ashtamanjaris. Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami Ki Jai. And now we proceed with our Bhagavatam. Just give me a second here. Okay. Narayam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashta Prayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Chittama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in the classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is inauspicious within the heart is destroyed almost to nil. And loving devotion to the Supreme Lord, who is glorified in transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 14th day of October 2024 in San Diego, a reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We are in Canto 7, The Science of God, Chapter 13, The Behavior of the Perfect Person, text number 46, which is the last text in the chapter. Okay. With your permission, I think we'll just proceed with the transliteration. Shri Narada Huvacha Dharmam paramahaṁsa vai Muneshud Vasureshwaraha Pujayadva tatak prita Amancha prayayo graham. Shri Narada Huvacha Dharmam paramahaṁsa vai Muneshud Vasureshwaraha Pujayadva tatak prita Amancha prayayo graham. Virchandra. Shri Narada Huvacha Dharmam paramahaṁsa vai Muneshud Vasureshwaraha Pujayadva tatak prita Amancha prayayo graham. Someone else? Shri Narada Huvacha Dharmam paramahaṁsa vai Muneshud Vasureshwaraha Pujayadva tatak prita Amancha prayayo graham. Ladies? Shri Narada Huvacha Dharmam paramahaṁsa vai Muneshud Vasureshwaraha Pujayadva tatak prita Amancha prayayo graham. Anyone online?
Shri Narada Vacha
Shri Narada Huvacha
Dharmam paramahaṁsa vai
Dharmam paramahaṁsa vai
Muneshrutvā sureshvaraha
Muneshud Vasureshwaraha
Pujayitva tata prita
Pujayadva tatak prita
Amantriya prayayo griham.
Amancha prayayo graham. Shri Narada Huvacha. Shri Narada Muni said, Dharmam, the occupational duty, paramahaṁsa, of the paramahaṁsas, the most perfect human beings, vai, indeed, mune, from the saintly person, shrutva, thus hearing, asura ishvaraha, the king of the asuras, Prahlāda Mahārāja, pujayadva, by worshipping the saintly person, tataha, thereafter, pritaha, being very pleased, amantya, taking permission, prayayao, left that place, gṛhāṁ, for his home. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Narada Muni continued, after Prahlāda Mahārāja, the king of the demons, heard these instructions from the saint, he understood the occupational duties of a perfect person, a paramahaṁsa. Thus he duly worshipped the saint, took his permission, and then left for his own home. Purport, as quoted in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 8, 128. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, this is very famous, Kiba vipra kiba nyasi shudra kene noi, ye Krishna tattva veta se guru hoy. A guru or spiritual master can be anyone who is well conversant with the science of Krishna. Therefore, although Prahlāda Mahārāja was a gṛhastha ruling over the demons, he was a paramahaṁsa, the best of human beings, and thus he is our guru. In the list of gurus or authorities, Prahlāda Mahārāja's name is therefore mentioned. Svayambhur Naradak Shambhu Kumara Kapilo Manahu Prahlādo Janako Bhishmo Bale Vyasakir Vayam. The conclusion is that a paramahaṁsa is an exalted devotee, Bhagavat Priya. Such a paramahaṁsa may be in any stage of life, brahmachari, gṛhastha, vanaprastha, or sannyas, and be equally liberated and exalted. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 7th canto, 13th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Behavior of a Perfect Person. So this is so many instructions in this chapter. The most prominent that I get out of this, because the paramahaṁsa is the Python man. He's completely depending. He's a personification of that aspect of surrender, goptrit vevaranangtata, to be completely trusting that Krishna will maintain in any circumstance. And so he's not even trying, he's not going begging or anything like that. He's simply waiting until he gets fed. And that was one of the things that was puzzling to Prahlāda. So there he is, he's simply waiting, and yet he's quite stout, quite portly, we might say. And that was puzzling. That was the original question. How did you get so fat? You can't even eat every day and everything. So eventually he explains, well, sometimes he's eating very opulently. Sometimes he's sleeping in very opulent beds. Whatever is on hand at the moment, he accepts it as Krishna's mercy. So in this way he's maintaining himself. But of course his realization goes far beyond that. That's kind of an evidence of how he's tasting his relationship with Krishna at every moment. Did I do Om Jnana? I don't think I did Om Jnana. It was kind of a Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmidatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So he's not the, what you would say, obviously would fit into, say, a member of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, descendant of Lord Chaitanya, because all the leaders, all the descendants of that are somehow or other very involved in the preaching effort, even if they're just sitting in Vrindavan, as Krishna's Kaviraj did. Well, obviously writing is a very important aspect of it. But there was Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, and he didn't write anything, but he was expert at singing the Srimad Bhagavatam, and Lord Chaitanya loved to hear him sing, and so that was his forte. And in other ways, he was enlivening the devotees in that way. So the whole idea is that the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya is very much relational. There really isn't room for simply hiding away somewhere in a cave and doing your bhajan, At least, okay, you're bhajananandi, but you do it publicly so people can hear and people can benefit from it. You're doing it in Radhakund or wherever you may be doing it. And Lord Chaitanya showed It's interesting, if you contemplate it, why, when he took sannyas, he took from a Mayavadi, basically. Because that was what was available. In Vaishnava circles, those who were renunciants, they would do the Babaji thing. And they would all go off alone and wander around Vrindavan for times. And even in Bhaktivinoda time and Srila Prabhupada, even to this day, there were those who take that role. I mean, Gokishore Das Babaji was a Babaji because he spent 30 some odd years walking around Vrindavan and doing bhajan there, and relishing. But luckily he was attracted to hear from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and so he made the pilgrimage to Navadvip, Mayapur, and stayed there with him. And also, was it in Puri? Did he live in Puri? I don't think maybe he stayed for some time there. But anyway, so what did he do? He was just chanting, staying at home. But people would come to him, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur revered her so much that he told Bhaktisiddhanta, you should take initiation from this Babaji. And so it's interesting, how that came down, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati got so much inspiration from him for the preaching effort. And when he said he was going to go to Calcutta, to start the centers, to start the Gaudiya Math, Gokishore Das Babaji said, I'll never go to that kingdom of Maya, like that. And so, but then did he disobey his spiritual master and went to the kingdom of Maya? Later on he said, well, I never really left Vrindavan. Because as Prabhupada said, I may be sitting here on 2nd Avenue in New York, and there's this river of traffic going on, which is like, diverting the attention from the class. It's not the ideal place to have a temple. I used to go up and down that street when I came from New York to Long Island. The Prabhupada said, I may seem to be here, but I'm actually still in Vrindavan. Because that's where the consciousness is. That's where you're feeling, and you're seeing everything in relationship to Krishna, you see. So Bhaktisiddhanta said something similar. I didn't actually disobey him and come and leave Mayapur, which is equivalent to Vrindavan. Yes, I physically went to Calcutta for the preaching effort, but my conscious remained in Vrindavan at the lotus feet of Krishna. Anyway, it's interesting, and Prahlāda, here he highly revered this paramahaṁsa, and by his preaching, of course, the first part was explaining his renunciation, how he simply relies on Krishna for supplying everything, gopta dvevananantata, and sometimes he would be taken to some big palace, and he would sleep in a comfortable bed and fed, like that. But he wasn't attracted to that. He wasn't saying, oh, now finally. No, he took it instead. Okay, Krishna wants me to do this now, and then sometimes it was fast for days, whatever. So he showed that, and then I was very happy to see that. Let's see. What is he actually praying for? Remember that? It says he's praying that here. Different people are of different mentalities. This is text 42, we read recently. Different people are of different mentalities. Therefore, it is not my business either to praise them or to blaspheme them. I only desire their welfare, hoping that they will agree to become one with the Super Soul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Now, he's not desiring that they merge. He's desiring that they become one with, in that they one within in mission. In other words, that their desires will be dovetailed with the desires of the Lord. That's real oneness. So that was very gratifying to read that, because otherwise it seemed to be all emphasizing on his renunciation rather than what does he desire then. So like Lord Chaitanya, he gave nadanang, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want wealth, I don't want marriage and very great erudition, and I don't even want liberation. Well, then what do you want? What should we pray for? Unmotivated bhakti, birth after birth. That means you don't want liberation, you see. So it's important to understand that renunciation is is an ornament of devotion. It's an evidence. And renunciation, it's important to distinguish between renunciation and detachment. Because there's literal renunciation, giving things up, or rather becoming detached and not even desiring them. That distinction is made in the Bhagavad Gita also. Tyag or vairagya. Tyag means literally giving things up. Some things we have to literally give up. The four regular principles, obviously the four sins. You give them up, you see. But real vairagya is much more important. It means that even while moving amongst the objects of the senses, you're not attracted to them. And whatever can be used for Krishna's service, then you accept. Prabhupada even says at one point, you can use missiles and whatever. He mentions that in one passage. But the idea is that that's the real ornament of the Vaishnav. And we saw that with Srila Prabhupada. When he came to America, he landed in the richest city of the world. He wasn't at all attracted to try to make money and enjoy in that city, obviously. And he would wander. So sometimes the image I have, because at first he was selling his books, and in that way gleaning enough money to eat. And so he had that box of all of those first candles, those wonderful books. And he would wander around the city, and you'd go to the midtown, you go to the subway, and then get off at Broadway or something and wander in there. And then he came across Times Square, and I remember Times Square before it became more like Disneyland. They renovated it at one point, But it was seedy. There were all of these, movie theaters that were promoting racy movies and things on either side. So Prabhupada, he'd see that and just go through it. It didn't affect his consciousness at all. It wasn't like he was attracted or anything like that. He was looking for the bookstores. And eventually he found, I think, some of the bookstores downtown that were specifically dedicated to New Age books, what we call New Age books now, spiritual books. I used to frequent those bookstores myself. And they would take them on consignment, and he would go buy, they just sell any books, we sold the set, and he'd take the money. So in this way he was and showing the perfection of detachment, vairagya, but at the same time enthusiasm to perform his mission of trying to preach. So he's selling books, and in this way also sustaining himself and like that. So that's the idea. So this paramahaṁsa, this perfect person at his meeting, he's doing his preaching through the pages of Bhagavatam. Otherwise, he's basically lying there. I don't know if he really gets it. But so Prahlāda met him and understood his glory and respected him, glorified him. And we learn about his mentality, his consciousness was so exalted. But it's not something that really we would want to imitate. The quality of depending on Krishna, being fully confident of Krishna's protection and dependence. Rakshasatiti vishwasko goptadvevananam tata. These are the second two of the 6 elements of surrender, sharanagati. And what's the first two? Who can say? Yeah, that's the Sanskrit. Well, you know the English? Okay. I don't think you heard that. Didn't use the mic, so I'll repeat it. Yes, anukulyasya sankalpa, partikulyasya bharjan. Now it's interesting, they kind of come in order too. The first thing, for any process that you want, even material, you got to accept what's going to be favorable for it, right? And closely aligned with that is giving up what's unfavorable or blocking it. So both of those are essential foundations for really being serious about bhakti. Accepting, and it's interesting, the accepting is first, in this case. Now in the Ashtanga yoga process, the rejection is first. Yama. Self-control. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Niyama is the do. You see? Go to a secluded place, sit this way, breathe this way, meditate in this way. But in Krishna consciousness, without any renunciation, you can take part. Anyone can join the kirtan. When you go out on the street, we hope someone will stand for 5 minutes and chant with us. Who knows what their character is? But we know that chanting is going to have its effect sooner or later. that somehow, they'll feel something and they'll meet the devotees again and say, oh, these are nice people, let me take one of their magazines and one of their books. And it's for their eternal benefit. So that's the power of Bhakti Yoga, as Lord Chaitanya taught it, is that first thing, accept what's favorable, even if it's just the most important, prasadam. People get prasadam, and they taste it. Oh, it's very nice. So right away they're being attracted to Krishna. Krishna's in the prasadam. You see. So anukulyasa patikulyasa varjanam and rakshisa divisha gopta devadarang. So this paramahaṁsa, this Python man, he specialized in the two middle ones. Being completely confident Krishna will protect. He wasn't, lying on the road wondering, oh, am I going to get attacked by this animal, this whatever. He wasn't. He was just lying there. There's no evidence that he was afraid or anything. Rakshisa Krishna will protect, and Krishna will maintain. And then the last two is Atmanikshepta Karpane. That's the last one. What is it? No, I know, but the Rakshisa Vishwas Gopta Devanangata Atmanikshepta Karpane. Yeah, Shadvarashana. So it's Atmanikshepa and Karpane. Those are two. Karpane is literally to be maintain the most humble position. And Atmanikshepa is never to have any desire other than to serve Krishna. So that's really the highest platform. So he personified that. And Prabhupada mentions here, and this is the final purport of the chapter, the 12 Mahajans who come in at the end of the 6th canto, or at the 6th canto. I think they're mentioned in that chapter dealing with the Jamil, if I'm not mistaken, because Yamaraj comes in. Remember that? And then he has this verse that Prabhupada constantly quoted, the first line of it, Dharma mi sakshat bhagavat pranitam, which means, you need a mic. Yes, Avriel knows. What happened to our mics? No mics? Yeah, they're just sitting there uselessly. They're not like the Python man. They're not going to perform their service if they're just sitting there.
Yeah, so it means that the aim of religion is to surrender to God.
Not exactly, no. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranita means dharma is that those injunctions that are enunciated by God, by Krishna. Dharma mi sakshat. What is dharma? Dharma is the word of God. You see, that's the idea. That's why Bhagavad Gita is so important. It's giving it. So that's a very famous statement by Yamaraj. And who is maintaining that? We can't hear God's name. Who is giving us God's word in this world? And then he lists the 12 Mahajans. So let's just run through them. It's always good to know who they are. Swayambhu Naradak Shambhu Kaumara Kapilo Manu. Prahlāda Janako Bhishmo Bali Vayasaki Vayam. Vayam means we, or me. Yamaraj speaking, humbly puts himself at the end. He's also one of them. So the first is Swayambhu, who is Lord Brahma. Yes, Swayambhu, who's known as self-born. Swayambhu, of course, Narada. Swayambhu, Narada, Shambhu, that's Lord Shiva. The 4 Kumaras, Kapila Muni, the son of Devahuti. And then Manu, that's the Swayambhuva Manu. And Swayambhu, Prahlāda, Janaka Bhishma, Bali, so Prahlāda Mahārāja, of course, Janaka Maharaj, the father of Sita, Bhishma, Bhishma Dev, Bali Maharaj, Vyasaki, that's Shukadeva Goswami, and Bayam is Yamaraj. So the only one who doesn't have a Haribol, welcome Prabhu, who doesn't have a stage, if you will, in the Bhagavatam where he speaks philosophy, you see. Narada Muni comes in all the time. He's on every single canto. Swayambhuva Manu also has his time on the stage where he speaks something very similar to the Ishopanishad. In fact, there's several verses in there that are almost exactly like Ishopanishad. And the Kumaras, of course, Kapila Muni has this whole half a canto, that's very prominent. But Janaka Maharaj doesn't say anything. We don't hear from him, but he's there. So anyway, Prahlāda is himself one of the Mahajans. And he is offering his respects to this Python man. So it's part of the important lesson. In the next chapter, we're going to learn about the ideal gṛhastha ashram. This is also part of the lesson of Varnashram, of what's important. And, Lord Chaitanya, so many of his disciples were gṛhasthas, and followers were gṛhasthas. Lord Chaitanya himself was in the gṛhastha ashram for some time. So it's essential. It's an essential ashram. Otherwise, how any baby's going to take place? Prabhupada makes the point. He's talking about all the great acharyas, how they were renunciants, like some of them. And he said, and each one of them was born from a mother in a gṛhastha ashram. So this is very, there wouldn't be any disciplic succession without it. So it's very important, but it has to be done properly because there's so much opportunity to deviate and to cut corners and do so many things. But still, so that's why we have extensive instruction on how to live in the gṛhastha ashram nicely. And it's temporary. The point is, it's not meant to grow old, within gṛhastha ashram. Is that you're meant to leave the marriage at a certain point, age 50, Prabhupada said, or at least get vanaprastha at that point, and toward the sannyas, toward full renunciation. Okay, it's 8:37. Any discussion on these points? Kind of a short class because we had all that about the wonderful devotees who disappeared
Hare
today.
Krishna.
Haribol Prabhu.
You mentioned about the Goswamis. Raghunath Bhatt Goswami was his service was just to chant and to recite Bhagavatam, and Raghunath Das Goswami was reciting Bhagavatam for like 3 hours. I'm wondering what it would look like for the Goswamis to recite Bhagavatam. Was it different from how we do it, or was it kind of similar?
Well, one thing is that it was his musicality. I mean, apparently he's chanted sung each verse in 3 tunes, and I don't know how those tunes would have come down to us unless someone was learning them and passing it on. Maybe I could research it, but he was so fulfilled in doing that, and it was so pleasing to Lord Chaitanya, and eventually, when he disappeared, all the other devotees, that he saw that was his way of remaining absorbed in Krishna consciousness and preaching, enlivening the devotees. So that was one of his most famous services. So, I mean, I don't know of any. I guess the equivalent we have is there are certain kirtaniyas in ISKCON who are basically have the service of leading kirtan and doing kirtan in the kirtan melas, and that's one of their main service. And going out and singing outside, and we gather a crowd and people distribute it. It can be, that can be a very effective way of distributing books also, as part of a whole presentation. Which also we do it on the beach. We also include prasadam, So that for those who have that propensity. I was musically trained, and I could have gone that route, but I was very happy to get into the production of the books, and I've stayed with that and the magazine and the literature and things like that. But you can see how it can easily be integrated into preaching, and it's just such. It can really be very attractive, even just on a musical level. And when people are, like Prabhupada, when he went out, he likes to point out how he started this movement by going out into Tompkins Square Park and singing for 3 hours Hare Krishna mantra with a little dundubi, right? Half of a bongo drum. Bongo drum, the 2 drums, you play like this. They took it apart and he was just beating it. And by doing that and having his, first devotees there dancing, and it was attractive. You can see, it's there, and there's a video of it. And people are getting purified. A certain percentage of them became more curious, went back to the temple, back to the little storefront, and in that way, planting the seeds. It's a very effective way of preaching. It's an essential part of a preaching. This is a Sankirtan movement. So that he specialized in it, and he found complete fulfillment. And I mean, I can imagine, because when you get absorbed in chanting these verses, especially you know the meaning, it's a complete meditation. It's such a way of really staying absorbed. And Prabhupada showed us when he would chant the Brahma Samhita, fully absorbed, and the devotees learned the Brahma Samhita. I remember I had a service. We don't do it here. We don't have the devotees, but there would be a crew of us, maybe 6 or 8, who, when the devotees are dressing the deities, Radha Govinda in New York, we were on the altar behind. There was room like behind the curtains or whatever, and we'd be singing the Brahma Samhita, and we're not looking. We memorized the Govinda prayers, that's it, and that was part of the daily puja, I did that for some time. So that's Raghunath Das was famous for that, for his singing and attracting devotees for that, and so he just, I don't have to do anything else. I don't want to do anything else, and they didn't ask him to do anything else. That was his service. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hold on, Vijay. You have?
Yeah, Prabhu, I also wanted to add, last year I was in Radhakund and I went to the Samadhi of Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj. I think you worked with him for some time.
Yeah.
And I was just reading the description and I found out that I think his disappearance day is also on the same day. And
this day?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So when all the three,
I didn't know that.
Kṛṣṇa, Kaviraj Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, and Raghunath Bhatt Goswami were put into Samadhi. His body was also put into the Samadhi on the same day.
Wow. Yeah,
So just wanted to add that.
Yeah. Well, he was well known as a singer himself.
Yes.
And I don't know if you know this, but he was famous for doing the BI work. But then what happened was the BI kind of didn't have it didn't expand as planned so much, and so he came from Manipur, right? He was born and raised there, so he brought a whole crew of Manipur dancers over, and they would travel. I was there in Philadelphia when he came. It was like 30 of them or something, maybe 20, and they would be playing drums as they danced and all this stuff. It was very amazing, And he himself was a well-known singer. A very nice voice, So he had that aspect, and he saw that as something that he could do and preach with it, because it really attracted a crowd who was there at festivals and things with these Manipuri dancers. So he had that other side to him, Bhajan. Anyone else? Vijay Krishna?
Yes, Dravida Prabhu, how may I serve you?
Well, I assume you had a question.
Yes, I have a question. May I?
Please.
Thank you very much. You're most kind. Dandavat pranams. Dravida Prabhu, I went to the online dictionary to see the meaning of Mahajan.
Uh-huh.
And they say here that the Mahajanas are revered for their deep spiritual wisdom and exemplary conduct, serving as role models for others to follow.
Okay.
So, based on this, my question is, how do you explain that Bhishma Dev, one of the 12 Mahajanas, after fighting in the opposite side against Krishna in the battle of Kurukshetra, is categorized as one of the 12 Mahajanas? That is my question.
All right. Now, what did you consult on the online? Was it the Wiktionary? What did you look it up on? In a Sanskrit dictionary?
Co-pilot.
I'm sorry? Again?
Co-pilot.
Co-pilot. No, I don't know
Yes,
that.
it's a source. You ask a question and they give you the answer.
Okay.
About anything and everything.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's anything and everything, and it's not giving you an especially Vaishnava understanding of it. So, yeah, Mahajan simply means great soul, a great human being, So that's what I did. The Bhishma Dev was a great devotee, of Krishna. By circumstance, he was on the other side. He he joined the Duryodhana's side to get maintenance, you know. But his heart, as Duryodhana realized, was really with the Pandavas. And he had helped raise them, and he had great affection for them. And so, you know, so even though he fought on the other side, and Duryodhana, he accused him. You remember, he accused him, you're not really fighting very hard. Right? We know you like the Pandavas, you know, so you're not giving your all. All right, I'll kill all of them tomorrow for you, okay? Because this is the Kshatriya code. So I have these 5 arrows. Each one of them has got one of the names on it, and so I'm going to use them. So Duryodhana, thinking he said, be very careful. Well, let me keep them because, you know, I know you have some affection for Krishna too, so I'll hold on to them. Of course, Krishna knew about that, and so he told Arjuna to cash in a debt. In other words, it's one of these things where he was promised a boon, anyway, so he went to Duryodhana's camp after the sunset. So they had this thing where they would be friends. They would act as friends, you know. There was no fighting after dark. Oh, Arjuna, welcome. You know, what do you want? If you want the whole kingdom, I'll give it to you, you know. And we don't need to fight. So no, that would be very shameful, you know, to ask that. No, that's all right. So what do you want then? Oh, I want those 5 arrows. So do you do? Oh, you know, how did you know? You know, miscalculated. Krishna, of course, told him. So Duryodhana, you know, so Bhishma Dev didn't have the arrows, but he still fought, you know, extra hard that time. And he had Arjuna in a difficult position. So he said, okay, either Krishna will break his promise, or I'm going to kill Arjuna. You know. So he had him, he was off his cart, and, you know, and so Krishna took up the wheel, and he ran toward Bhishma Dev, ready to kill him instead of let Arjuna. So Bhishma Dev welcomed it, you know, and it said that he was shooting arrows at Krishna, and it says Krishna was getting the arrows. There's a whole thing about that I'm not going to get into. But Krishna was also shooting at him, and he was relishing the Kshatriya relationship, you see. It was all part of his rasa. And finally, at the end, of course, he was on the bed of arrows. I don't know if that really makes clear what he was. I think all those arrows were arrows that were shot through him, and they were, you know, resting on the bed of arrows. It's not very comfortable, but he had the boon from his father that he didn't have to die until he wanted to. So he's just waiting for Krishna to come, you know, and all the great devotees came. They came from outer space as Bhishma Dev, and he had those wonderful prayers at the end there. One of the first ones, I memorized several of them. Trubhavana Kamanang, he's gazing at Krishna, you know, on this bed of arrows. And Arjuna, he was thirsty, they always get thirsty, he shot an arrow into the ground, Ganges water came up and he was drinking. And he said, Trubhavana Kamanang, Tamala Varnang, Ravikata Gaura Varambadang Dadani, Vapadalaka Kṛṣṇa Abjam Vijayasake Ratadastume Navadya. This is a wonderful prayer. So this Krishna, he's the most attractive in all the 3 worlds, beyond the 3 worlds. Tribhavana Kamanang has a tamala varnam. He has the complexion of the blackish tamal tree. Ravakata Ghoda Varambarang. His beautiful body is clothed in garments that shine like the sun. Ravakata Ghoda Varambarang. Dadani Allaka Kordavatan and Abjam. And his lotus face is surrounded by the beautiful curling blackish hair. Rabikata Govanambang Vapadalaka Kolavatana, Vijayasake, Ratadastume Navajya. Vijaya, you know, we all call him Vijay, but his real official pronunciation is Vijaya. That's Krishna. Excuse me, that's Arjuna, the victor. Arjuna is the victor. And Krishna is the friend of the victor. Vijayasake, Ratadastume. May my attraction be drawn only to him and not be diverted to anyone else. So then he has other prayers in that same wonderful meter, and then he departs, you know. And so he was a devotee, even though he was circumstantially on the other side and fighting. But it's not something that we should try to emulate. It's not that, oh, I can be Krishna's enemy, you know, and then I'll go back, you know. It's not for us. You know, we should our rasa, you know, beginning with service. You know, and then maybe we'll learn more about our you know, more specialized rasa, friendship, whatever it may be. But that's one of the ghastly rasas, but he was in it. And he was perfect in it. And really his heart was the heart of a pure devotee, obviously. Circumstantially, he was on the other side, but ultimately he showed that he was pure Krishna Bhakta. So that's the understanding. That's happened sometimes, you know, in that case he had to do something that wasn't pleasing to him, but it was by the Kshatriya rules, and so he did it. That's my understanding of that, Vijay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Sure, Hari Bol. Okay, we need to adjourn. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Hari Bol.